I'm Lily Anderson, and I'm joined by Kaylee Linz, and we're excited to guide you through the essentials of applying for our touring grant funding. This video will be speaking to you about our touring program, which is just one of the funding programs offered by the Columbia Kootenay Cultural Alliance, or CKCA. The CKCA is a project of the West Kootenay Regional Arts Council and is funded by the Columbia Basin Trust to carry out arts and culture funding programs within the Columbia Basin region. Before you start your application, ensure that you meet the overarching eligibility criteria for all of our programs. Applicants must live within the Columbia Basin region, meaning your primary residence or the location of your organization must be based here for at least 12 months prior to the application deadline. CKCA funding focuses on arts and culture projects. If you have a heritage project, we encourage you to look at other opportunities for support provided by the Columbia Basin Trust and Heritage BC. You're welcome to apply for arts and culture projects based in any artistic discipline or tradition, including interdisciplinary arts. Before you apply, make sure that you do not have any outstanding requirements from previous grants.
The touring program aims to help individuals and groups tour arts and culture productions, exhibitions, or workshops in the Basin. It also aims to increase public awareness of Basin arts and culture. Funding is available for tours of arts and culture productions, exhibitions, performances, or workshops. These tours must include a minimum of 3 locations in order to be eligible. Tour locations within 50 kilometers of place of origin are eligible as part of your tour itinerary, but the distance from your home community will be taken into consideration when assessing the application. Note that funding can only be used for tour locations inside the Columbia Basin region. Should your proposed project relate to additional tour locations, non-basin locations must be excluded from your list of proposed project activities and the project budget. Preference is also given to applicants touring outside of their immediate region. For example, touring from the East Kootenay to the West Kootenay or Valemount, touring from the West Kootenay to the East Kootenays or Valemount, and touring from Valemount to the East or West Kootenays. Some key dates to remember for the touring program include the deadline on March 7th, 2025 at 5 p.m. Pacific Time or 6 p.m. Mountain Time, the delivery of funding results, which will take place in mid-June or July 2025, and your project duration. Projects must take place between June 1st, 2025 and November 30th, 2026. CKCA touring applications are assessed by a volunteer steering committee. Steering committee members make funding recommendations based on community benefit, application strength and quality, and available funds. The Trust reviews and approves recommendations for funding. Here are just a few examples of past successful projects funded by our touring program. The tour of a one-woman theater performance, the tour of screenings of short films, and a book tour with several stops of author readings.
So let's just walk through the application process step by step. So first, review available funding programs on the CKCA funding webpage to ensure this program is the best fit for your project. Next, read the primary funding policies document to ensure eligibility before starting your application. Next, submit your application online via our grant management system, Good Grants. All applicants will need to create a new account this year, regardless of whether you've applied to the CKCA previously. So here's a few tips just to strengthen your application. Before applying, investigate potential tour stops and venues. You'll be asked as a part of the application to confirm steps taken to ensure local interest. Clearly articulate the community benefit of your project. Explain how your project will help Basin residents experience or participate in arts and culture activities. Next, avoid common pitfalls by ensuring you are familiar with the eligibility criteria applicable to all CKCA programs as well as the touring guidelines. Submit a complete application and avoid including ineligible expenses in your budget.
So a few more details about eligible and ineligible budget expenses. Eligible expenses may include, but are not limited to, venue rentals and equipment rentals, artist fees for the creation, performance, or exhibition of work, production or project coordination fees, materials and supplies, and marketing and promotional expenses as part of your tour. Ineligible expenses include operating costs. Note that the CKCA does not provide operating funding or funding to reduce deficits. Retroactive funding, meaning the support for any activities taking place before June 1st. Funding for school-based activities. Projects can utilize schools as venues, but note that they cannot be curriculum related. And capital expenditures. We offer several resources to help you with your application, including consultation calls. If you have questions specific to your project, contact our office to schedule a call. Also on the CKCA funding webpage, you can see upcoming dates for live Q&A sessions. This is a chance to ask any questions you have about CKCA programs. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to us by email at admin@wkartscouncil.com or 250-352-2421. We encourage you to apply and take advantage of this fantastic funding opportunity. We thank the Columbia Basin Trust for supporting CKCA grant programs and resources like this one. And lastly, thank you for watching, and we look forward to receiving your application.